Last year, December 2023, 2nd December 2023, I all of a sudden realized I was 100 kgs. My BMI said I was class 1 obese. This came as a shocker because in my whole lineage, in my whole family, no one has weight. We are all lanky, lean people, all my uncles, all my aunts, and my immediate family. So it's also a shocker because I was working I was running twice a week, and I was trying to keep fit with body weight exercises. So I went down to research to see how comes I added weight, and in my research I realized there are things that happens inside a person that makes him add weight. And when I realized this and I learned those methods, I reversed this condition, and in March 2024, 2nd March, I had lost weight up to 85.4 kgs. So in this series of video, I'm going to tell you about these scientific methods that I used. But before we do that, we need to understand how the body works, and in particular, how we gain weight. We have made to believe through many channels and through our lifetime that we gain fat by eating things that have fat. And that's why you see even the media and commercial food coming up with products that have low fat. You have low fat yogurt, low fat milk, basically low fat everything. But if that were the case, I look at a cow. A cow is fat. But does a cow eat any fat? Does it eat any other cows? Does it eat eggs? Does it eat pork? No. The cows that I know, they eat grass or animal feed, which is basically grain. So it's clear here that inside the complex digestive system of a cow, there is something that is converting that grass or that grain into fat. So basically it's the same thing that happens with us human beings. We are all mammals. A cow and a human being, we are all mammals. So anything we eat is eventually converted into fat. So how does it happen? When you eat, whatever you eat goes through the digestive system, and after it's fully digested, it becomes blood sugar. So for example, in the morning, maybe you take 4 loaves of bread, our standard bread. 4 loaves of bread have 133 grams of carbs. So these 133 grams of carbohydrates go through the digestive system, and after they have completed the digestion, they are converted into blood sugar. How much blood sugar? The blood sugar that is equivalent to 133 grams, it's 22.6 millimole per liter. Millimole is a unit doctors use to measure blood sugar. Now, the blood is very sensitive. It only needs less than 7.8 millimoles per liter of blood sugar. If you go more than that, you can easily go into a coma. So what happens? Because now we have 22.6 millimole per liter of blood sugar, but we only need 7.8. So it's clear we have an excess of 14.8 millimole. So what happens to this 14.8 millimole? It has to be injected out of the blood system. So there is a hormone called insulin. That's where insulin comes in. Insulin is released by an organ called pancreas. Pancreas, its work is to kick out the excess blood sugar out of the blood system. It takes that extra blood sugar into the cells. So what does the cells do when it receives this excess blood sugar? It does 2 things. If the cell is active, meaning this is a cell of a person who works in agricultural area, or he's working in a construction site such that he's active throughout the day, that extra blood sugar will be converted into energy so that he can get energy to do his normal work. But if you're a person like me, who most of the time I sit behind a computer, I'm a programmer, the whole day I'm seated behind a computer, I don't need so much energy. Most of that excess blood sugar will be converted into fat. Fat is a method of cells storing excess energy in the hope that in future when you don't have food and you need energy, you can use that fat. Unfortunately for most of us, we do not get to that future because we are always eating. So you ate that in the morning, so you stored some fat in the morning. Then at lunchtime, before you can get an opportunity to use that stored fat, we eat again, maybe even a larger meal. So we get into a cycle where we eat, we get insulin released, insulin converts the excess blood sugar into fat, because we have not changed our career yet. We are still maybe coding, sitting behind a computer or writing reports. So it continues like that. In the evening you still eat another meal. So you can imagine every day what you're doing, 6-7 times a week, 365 days a year, for the rest of the lifetime you have been living. So you have been accumulating this fat without giving the cells an opportunity to use that stored fat. So when this keeps on increasing with time, the cells have their own capacity. There's something called individual fat threshold. They get to a point where now they're getting fed up with fat, no pun intended. We are trying to keep fit here. But the idea is the cells grow fat and fat until they can reach their maximum capacity. After they have reached their maximum capacity, two things happen. One is that because blood sugar, we are continuing eating, so we are still having more blood sugar, which has to be taken out of the bloodstream to the cells. The body starts looking for storage in areas that are not supposed to be storing fat. For example, your liver. Your liver is not designed to be storing fat by the mother nature. It's not supposed to be storing fat. But now, because the other cells that are supposed to store fat are filled, they start filling those organs that are not supposed to have fat in them, like the liver, the heart muscles, etc. And that's where you come up with this notion of visceral fat. There's fat in areas that you are not supposed to have fat in it. The other thing is that the cells, they are trying to resist. They are trying to resist the actions of, they're not responding well to the action of the insulin. So the body thinks it can produce more insulin to force these cells to accept more fat. So your insulin level start rising. When the insulin levels start rising, you get a condition called insulin resistance. So in your body, you will have high levels of insulin always. And how it progresses is that if you go past a certain level, you become insulin resistance. If you continue with the trajectory of eating, not burning fat, you go to prediabetes. And then after that, if you continue with the trend, you develop type 2 diabetes. So as you can clearly see, the issue of fat gain is not an issue of looks only. It's an issue of our lifetime health. So if you go to the doctor today and you ask him to measure your blood sugar, they normally do a plaking with a glucometer. They'll tell you your blood sugar level is, for example, mine is normally 4.6 millimole per liter, which is very healthy. They'll tell you are healthy, go home, come another time for a checkup. But what they didn't check is how much insulin was needed to keep that blood sugar at that level. Because the more insulin that is needed, the less healthy you are. And we never look at that. Maybe you needed a higher level than you needed when you're more healthy. So the idea here is that our insulin levels should be low so that we can stay healthy in the same level as our blood sugar. So when you have insulin very high, two things happen. Insulin, its work is a storage hormone. As I have said, it's to convert excess blood sugar into fat. So we'll always be storing fat if you have high insulin levels. The other thing about insulin is that it stops the already stored fat from being oxidized to become energy for the cell. So you're having two problems in one. You're storing more fat, and the one you stored cannot be used as energy. So when you feel you need energy, instead of using the one that is stored, because the high insulin level in the body, it will tell you look for energy somewhere else, maybe through food or somewhere. That's why if you have insulin levels high, you'll always be feeling hungry. I hope that is a phenomenon many people face. If you have your insulin very high, you'll always be having some hunger in you. So you can clearly see here the problem of fat. Why we gain fat and we keep it, we seem hard to lose it, it's because of insulin. So our real enemy is insulin. If you have very high level of insulin in your system, this one is called insulin resistance. So next video, we'll talk about how to reverse this insulin resistance, the scientific methods I used to reverse it so that I reduced my weight by 15 kgs in 3 months. And before that, we will look at signs, the tell signs that you have insulin resistance. One of the tell signs that you have insulin resistance is when you start adding weight in your central area. It's normally called central obesity. If you start adding fat there, you're starting adding weight, you're starting to develop a pot belly. I had that, a big one, still have it, hasn't disappeared completely. Or if you're a man, you're adding fat in your chest area, you're developing this man boob. All those are tell signs that you have insulin resistance. In our next video, we look at that and how to reverse it. So stay tuned. If you like this such kind of content, please consider subscribing, like it, and share with any other person who might benefit from this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.